Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. There's no such thing as overanalyzing or reading too much into your favorite Bravo shows and Bravo celebrities here. So join me, Bravo and Botox, as I find the depth amongst the shallow. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bravo Papers. Today, I have a very special guest from the Reality Bites podcast. And my guest today is Betsy, am I right? Or Lauren? Lauren, I'm sorry.
Lauren.
I just saw the two hosts and I was like, wait.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Lauren.
My
No,
apologies.
you're fine.
Lauren is here.
No apologies, no problem.
And she's amazing, and she's going to talk to us about Bravo News. And Lauren, can you tell me a little bit first about your podcast and about what you do, and just kind of like give the audience a little something?
A little background, a little story.
Yeah.
So I'm a producer in reality TV. I've been producing, I would say, probably like 11 years. And this last year's been a little slower. Work has been kind of slow.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a podcast called Reality Bites, where my best friend and co-host Betsy, we recap and bring you a little peek behind the curtain, both from my POV as a producer and her POV as a viewer, which is fun because we get to juxtapose that, which, you know, I think the lens of the viewer is really important, and then also kind of just giving you a little bit of backstory on
Totally
like how the sausage is made.
So do you mind me asking?
We have a good time.
Do you mind me asking what shows you've worked on? Are you allowed to say?
No, go ahead. I am allowed to say.
Okay. What Bravo shows have you
I've worked
on?
I've worked on Million Dollar Listing. I've worked on Southern Charm. It's not Bravo, but it's in the what's it called? The not the neighborhood, Jesus. The
Bravo
the
Sphere.
House. The Family. My God, The Family.
Yeah.
On Eve called Cavallari.
Okay.
I've done Top Chef. I did I Am Kate. I did a Kardashian spinoff. What else have I worked on? I did a new show. I think it's called Oahu. I can't remember. I think we're still working on the name, but it was shot in Hawaii last year. That was my last show and then what else?
How was it working on Southern Charm?
Fun and exhausting.
Oh, I bet.
I needed a lobotomy after. A lot of psychotherapy. Wellbutrin, Ativan. No, I'm just kidding. But it's a lot of fun, but it is a lot of work, I'm sure. I mean, as a viewer, what would you think it would be like to work on it?
I would think it would be a ton of work, long days, because it's not like a 9-to-5 type of job. Like, you have to record when they're doing things, and they're going to be doing things.
I know.
Evenings, weekends.
I think that cast in particular I think it's probably the hardest show I've ever worked on in terms of the cast specifically.
I'm not surprised by that.
Right?
Yeah, they seem difficult.
I've said that before, and some people, yes, they're also just really, I think this is going to be rich saying this, they're also really incredibly smart.
Yeah.
And so they're just used to how everything's done. And it's not to say that I'm trying to like manipulate or we are trying to do that, but anything that you suggest, anything that we have planned to do sometimes at the time, because I wasn't on it this last season that's airing right now, but they're very kind of sometimes can be paranoid. Like, oh, what does this mean? Like, what are we doing? Oh, I'm going to lunch with her. Why? What's going on? It's just lunch. That's why it can be hard, you know?
Okay. That makes sense. And would you say, like, how real would you say reality TV is?
I mean, I would say it's pretty honest from, my perspective of like what I've done. I mean, some things can change from time to time. Like, I just described this recently on our podcast where I was answering one of our listener questions, and what I was describing to them is that the scenes and the intention and don't change. So whatever the narrative is what it is. Now, sometimes certain things are cut down for time, and music is added. So sometimes the tone feels like it shifts. Maybe the scene was a little bit more jovial, but what you're seeing is you see happiness and you see jovial, but it's not, it's a little heavier. So
Mm-hmm.
that can change sometimes, but for the most part, from my personal experience, I think it's pretty accurate. I would say when I like worked on The Bachelor, that was a little bit of a different story. There's villains and like there's these people, there's certain types of tropes. Whereas when I worked on that, I didn't feel that that person was the villain. And then I see that they're like the villain on TV. But I would say for the most part, especially like in the NBC Universal family, that doesn't mean other shows haven't, like other cast members, I don't want to invalidate maybe their experience, but oftentimes, especially on shows that I've worked on, they feel it's different once it's edited and it's put out there. But the reality is that's how it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's
So,
kind of nice to hear because a lot of them try to use
yeah,
editing as an excuse for asshole behavior. And we're kind of like, eh.
correct. Like I have a cast member, an old cast member of mine, who is feeling a little bit like that right now, currently. Um, so my response was like, it is what this and it is what I saw. So I was like, this is what I saw. This is what I'm thinking. They want my opinion on it. And I don't, there's nothing, it's not any different, but it is easy as a cast member, I think, sometimes to go down that, well, it's not exactly how it happened. And it's also not to invalidate that experience because their perception is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to feel it wasn't that way, even
Mm-hmm.
though it was. I think very much similarly to us normies, when we get into a fight, we're like, I didn't yell, I didn't scream. The other person's like, well, yes, you did. So
Right.
it's
It's
similar.
perception.
Exactly. I think some cast members are a little better than that than others. Some people
Mm-hmm.
will absolutely admit to it being exactly the way that it is. And I think the others who tend to probably fall into some shit are the ones that probably argue that it's not exactly the way that it was. And I would totally argue differently that it absolutely is.
Right.
So
So kind of like Raquel slash Rachel, sort of, she's
yes.
very much
Yes, or like
blaming production.
oh no, not on that show, I don't think. I'm not, I mean, look, I would say that Vanderpump is probably one of the best trained cast and one of the most honest shows that is out there. I'm
Yeah, I
not
think
saying
that's
that
why
they've
it's
never
so
tried to.
successful.
It truly is. I say this all the time. It is the best produced reality show from top to bottom. There are
Mm-hmm.
no seasons that are really like when you think about it, there are no seasons that are bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think some would argue season 8 was bad, maybe season 9, COVID. But I think from door to door, that show is really good. But it's also had the same producing staff the entire time for the most part. And I think that
Okay.
that matters. It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty
So
yeah.
yeah. All right. So let's get into some news topics. So usually I'll go through like the biggest news of the week.
Okay.
There hasn't been anything like wild this week, but there's been a lot of like shows wrapping up and then new shows coming. So there was
Mhm.
like a crazy couple days where it was like, here's the trailer for this, here's the trailer for this, here's the trailer for this. And I was like, oh my
I know.
God. There was like Beverly Hills,
Too much.
Miami, Married to Medicine. Like it was a it was a lot.
It's just a
But
lot.
OC wrapped up, so at least that takes something off of our plate. But what did you think of this
Right.
season of Orange County? And I just wondering your thoughts on Jen calling Tamra a cheater at the reunion. And then the picture was kind of circulating of Tamra, Eddie, and her ex, Simon, so that
No,
they
I saw
were
that.
all together. So what did you think about that?
Um, I think the season as a whole is pretty solid. I think if we had to
Same.
compare it, yeah, from last season, I mean, Noelle and Jen were losers. Sorry, but like that was not fun. I think it's solid, solid cast. I'm sure there's always room for improvement. I would like the cast to stay this way, and I want to see them again next season. What do I think about the cheating? I think Tamara definitely cheated.
Me too.
I think that I just feel like I think marriage was over very much in the same way for Jen. The marriage was over. It was done. She cheated. I think that's also why Tamara was very quick to say, like, I don't give a fuck that you cheated. Like, that is not that's not my dog in this fight.
Hmm.
Um, but I think Jen's just pissed off because Tamara came after her really, really hard. I think Tamara was all over the place this season. I think we saw old Tamara, and I think we were hoping to see a newer, like more improved Tamara, and we kind of didn't. She kind of went back to the old tricks. But I also think a lot of that is because she wanted to get her footing. She didn't know, was I going to be liked? Was I not going to be liked? Where do I fit? I think she kind of said as much at the reunion, but she was. I love Tamara, and I am a Tamara fan, but she was kind of insufferable a little bit this season.
Yeah.
It just was a lot. She was the start of everything. She was in the middle of it fucking all. She was the reason why everything was a mess. She was the reason why the telephone game was awful. All of it. All of it, all of it, all of
Yeah.
it. And then Shannon gets on her, like they get together and the two of them together. I just don't want to see them together anymore. I would like to see Tamara hang out with other people. Right?
Yeah. I think like if Tamara cheated on Simon, I'm just kind of like, I don't really care because Simon was just
Yeah.
such an asshole. And he was like very controlling and like I think he was like emotionally abusive and manipulative. So it's
Oh
hard
yeah.
for me to have a lot of sympathy for him. And granted,
Same.
fine, she shouldn't have cheated, but like you said, I think the marriage was over. So I don't think it's like that big of a deal. I also
No.
think it's like Jen, I understand though, Jen still technically has a point. Like Tamara's kind of being hypocritical, but I agree with you. Tamara, I'm a Tamara fan, not because I like who she is as a person. I just think she's good at being a housewife.
Yeah.
And I think
Exactly.
and she did a great job. I mean, everyone's like, this season is so amazing, but I hate Tamara, get rid of her. And I'm kind of like, you can't have it both ways. Part of the reason the season
You
was
really
good
can't.
was because of Tamara. So it's fine. She's fine with being a villain and she likes being a villain. She doesn't care if people don't like her. So let's just let her do
No,
it.
she doesn't.
Yeah, she really actually
Interesting.
doesn't.
She doesn't care at all. And we have these things called focus groups where at the end of the season or throughout the season, they're watching it and they're giving their it's kind of like Nielsen ratings. So they're giving their opinions
Hmm.
and every cast member at the end of the season will end with a certain percentage. So obviously, like if you're in the 90th percentile, everyone loves you. And then there's people who are at the bottom. They'll be in the 20th or 30th percentile. And oftentimes those are the people that everyone just kind of despises. But even those low scores are necessary for the show. So you
Right.
can have a low focus score and you're just not right for the show. But then at the same time, you can have a low focus group score, but without you, you'd have nothing. And that's kind of a Tamara.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, that's kind of how I feel about like the whole cast of the new RHONY is like most of them I love like to hate the show almost. Like I love watching it to like kind of make fun of it, but you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things. But what about Potomac? Do you watch Potomac?
I do watch Potomac.
Okay, good.
Um,
So, let's talk about the
yeah,
the trailer because the trailer came out and the trailer looks or no, did the trailer come out for Potomac or did I make that up in my head?
it did.
No, it
No,
did.
no, no,
Okay.
it did. It came
There's
out.
so many trailers.
Yeah,
I
it came
can't
out 2 weeks
even
ago.
I can't even keep them straight.
It did. It came out 2 weeks ago, which feels like it didn't come out because the other ones came out all out
Yeah, it
this
was
week.
just a lot. Now it looks great
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Tasha K, who was sued by Cardi B for defamation and lost. Um, she has come out with I don't know, an accusation against Chris Bassett saying that he's having an affair on Candiace and that the woman
yeah.
he's having an affair with sent his dick pic and other things to her so that she's seen them all. Where do you stand on this? Do you believe it?
Mm.
Or do we think this is, BS? What do we think?
It's so hard to say, but I think that where there's smoke, there's fire, especially
Okay.
with this one. He was kind of absent then. I'm curious, like, what the what of it is. As much as I don't want it to be true, because I like Chris, I definitely think that there's been like ups and downs in the relationship as far as like not spending probably as much time together, really being kind of not connected. I think we saw that last season,
Yeah.
even though we see Candace like really supporting her husband and standing up for him based on the other allegations that have nothing to do with this. I wouldn't, the thing is, I'm not shocked by much anymore. And I think that there's probably a little truth to this. Now, I did see that there was like paperwork out there that says that he paid for her to have like an abortion or something like that. Is that real?
Okay, so from
Did
what
you
I've
see?
seen, yeah, I did. From what I've seen, it's been proven false, or that the
Okay, it is
paperwork,
false. Okay.
that's what people have said, that it's like kind of like paperwork you could like download from the internet and
Mhm.
forge and all this stuff. But all that being said, like I don't know if I believe all this like proof that Tasha K has on
Yeah.
her whatever, but that doesn't mean that it's not true, even though she's maybe not the most reliable, because the only thing that makes me think it's true is that Candiace and him haven't really said anything. And they are usually
Mhm.
so trigger happy with Twitter or social media. Like when there's a rumor, they're always like not true, or they'll just come out and talk about it. So that's a little
Mhm.
suspect to me. It's been kind of mostly silence from them. And then I've just heard other like rumblings on the street of, that he flirts with people,
Yeah.
and I don't know. So it's not looking great.
It's not, and I'm with you. So I think there's a little bit of truth to this. The other stuff I wasn't necessarily leaning into and being like, that's absolutely true, just because that's a very heavy accusation to be made. But he does work in restaurants and bars and late night. I mean, there's latitude and there's room for this to absolutely be something that is true. And I'm with you because they haven't said anything. And Candace is always the first, and really Chris too, the first to say something, and no one has said a word.
Right. And then speaking of relationship issues, so Mia's husband Gordon did this weird interview on TMZ. I don't know if you saw this, but he's like,
Yeah, I did not see it.
yeah,
It's wacky over there.
it's wacky. He's like, Mia married me for my money. Can you believe that? As though anyone
Yes.
didn't already know that. He's like, expects us all
I
to
was,
be shocked and appalled for him and with him. And I'm like, and like in my point of view, I'm like, dude, if you didn't know that, then you're an idiot and you deserve to get taken to the bank.
well, isn't there mute cute that she was serving him lobster and steak at a strip club?
Yes.
Okay, just want
And then they
that
had
doesn't mean that
sex.
doesn't mean. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just going to say, and then they had sex on the beach while he was still married.
Got it. Okay. I mean, here's the thing. Not everybody who works at a strip club is after somebody's money. However, given what we know about Mia, given their meet cute, and then given, yes, that they had sex on the beach, I mean,
Yeah.
there's only so many, trajectories this road is going to go down.
Well,
I mean,
and I just feel like
guys.
he wanted like a hot young wife that he could have as like his like arm candy. And she wanted a guy
Mhm.
that was going to take care of her financially and security and all that, especially given like the way she grew up. She had a tough childhood, all that. So it's kind of like you both had like a mutual interest. So you
Agreement.
can't get mad
Yeah.
now. I just like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of
No.
sympathy for him.
No, neither do I. Not Gordon. Not Gordon.
Well, and do
But
you think
I can't believe that.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say that she basically serves him with divorce papers on camera. So I'm just like this. I also think that's a lot of the reason why he's so upset.
Yeah, that makes sense. And but Mia, like, I don't know, like I don't like she's not like one of my favorites, but I do like her on the show because she'll do shit like that and she is entertaining.
Mhm.
Like she will bring it,
She
and
is really entertaining.
she's so entertaining. Even like she's not always meaning to be. Um it's just some of the stuff, like her confessionals are pretty funny. Now I saw that the girls took Mia out for like a cheer her up dinner, and it was like
Yeah.
Giselle, Robin, Mia, Ashley, basically all of them except Wendy, Karen, and Candiace. So that to me
I
was a little bit like,
that.
yeah, I'm just a little bit, oh, I don't want it to be like teams the whole season, but it seems like it's going to be. What do you think about that?
I gotta be honest, I am not really looking forward to this season of Potomac. I
Yeah.
am and I'm not, only because I am because I miss them, but I'm not only because it feels very divisive, and the divisiveness feels like it's not authentic in how they're going to be telling their own story. It just feels like everything kind of has the divisiveness is propelling them to tell certain narratives a certain way, and I felt like it was like this last season. It was really tiring to watch.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's move on a bit to the one that you are very familiar with, Southern Charm.
Yeah.
So Taylor says she has a new boyfriend named Gaston. Not to be confused with the villain from Beauty and the Beast. But that she's very happy with him. But then I also saw her on Watch What Happens Live. And she admitted that she did send the photos to Whitney. She says, though, they were not nude photos, they were risque photos. But she didn't deny that they said like come one, come all or whatever. So there's that. And then the other thing I wanted to say about Taylor is that I never thought I'd be talking about Taylor so much, but is that her and Shep are like trying to like be friends on social media. Have you seen this? And it's very cringe. Like she tagged him in a story where she's reading a book upside down. And she's like, I guess it's like an inside joke. And she's like, this is how you read, right, Shep? And like tagged him. And then he like reshared it. And it's just very cringe. I don't know. Okay, I saw it. I didn't see it like with my own eyes. I did, but I didn't see it when it was happening, but somebody screenshotted it and put it on Reddit. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, to me, it really seems like she's still into him. What do you think?
Okay. Well, I think it was a very hard breakup, and I think that she was still very connected very long time. I'm not surprised by that picture. I think that there was this, I don't even want to say in the underbelly, but their relationship was very like, he's very smart. Shep's always like very cerebral and he's very intellectual. And I do think that there are aspects to her that are, because she's younger than him, she's just not aware of certain historical facts. I think that there's like maybe like a little bit of a running joke that I feel like is taken a little too far with her not being as like smart, or, she's just like a little doe-eyed. I'm not surprised that she posted that. I wish she hadn't, just because it feels like she, in the name of, of being funny, she's kind of putting herself down a little bit. Do I think she's still in love with him? I think that she might still be very much in love with the ideology of their relationship. I'm not surprised that she's also dating somebody new. She's very sweet, but I also think that this is like a lot for her. I think also losing her brother this last year. Look, what I'm seeing on the show, knowing her so well, she's just kind of a fucking mess. Like it's not normal. I don't want to say normal, like we're all like have normal qualities to us, but kind of just based on what she stands for and who she is. Yes, I think that she's absolutely going through it, much like all of us have in breakups. And it's just not, it's kind of like unbecoming because she throws Olivia under the bus. It's just like a lot.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think she's going through it, like you said.
Yeah, I think she's still kind of a little bit, yes, it connected to that like love of his.
Right. And I think that because she is young, like she doesn't know how to handle the breakup. So she's just she's spiraling like big time. The nude photo thing is like a big spiral, especially like to be sending it to his friends. That's crazy.
It's so crazy because somebody texted it to me, not the photo, that this had happened, and I was like, wait, what? No.
Well, and then he showed it to his mom.
I wonder if he showed it to his mother,
or just told her.
I don't think he was like, hey, mom. I mean, if he did, let me put it to you this way, because Whitney's probably one of my favorite. If he did, it wasn't like, mom, look what I got. It was very much like, oh my God, I can't even fucking believe this.
Right.
He probably showed it to somebody else first, and then it just kind of became fodder.
Yeah. Which, like, he shouldn't be doing that, obviously. Especially, knowing that like she sent it to him and he didn't have her permission. So obviously, but I could see him showing it to his mom, like, oh my God, this girl's so thirsty, like, whatever. I could see that. Okay, so the next thing I want to ask you about is maybe my favorite topic. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with hating RHONY, the new RHONY, but it's like, I like love to hate it almost. Like I actually look forward to it every week more than any other show right now, which is really like effed up. I don't know why.
I want to be you though. No lie. I detest. I'm like, oh God. I got so excited. I'm like, oh, cool. We have a reunion. We'll recap this week. And then I was reminded, no, it's the finale. And I was like, oh, God. I envy you because I want to hate watch it. And I guess I kind of am, but I'm also just like,
I think Erin and Sai are just so bad at being housewives that I'm entertained by how bad they are at it. And the whole group is just trying so hard that I don't know. I just find it entertaining for some reason. But okay, so let's talk about Sai,
Okay.
because so Sai did like an interview. She doubled down on how she treated Jessel all season and basically
Mhm.
was like, no, I wouldn't change anything. I still see it all the same as I did. And then she also, like, okay, I'm going into my camera roll because I saved a couple of these, but in her stories, so basically in like replies on, I don't know if this is on Instagram, okay,
Mhm.
somebody said, did you really, so you know how there's rumors that she stole her husband?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody said, did you really steal your husband? Say it ain't so. And she replied, I just heard this info today, and honey, I'm invested. This tea is piping hot, but let's see this boy math play out. I I don't even know what that
Mhm.
means. And then somebody asked again on a different on TikTok, and she replied with I'm gonna let the internet figure out this boy math because I'm invested in this story. The tea is
Boy
hot,
math.
honey. Yeah, like I just
Fuck
she's
is
just
that?
making no sense. And then she's on her Instagram stories like just like making jokes about like, oh, you know, like a meme with Victoria Beckham saying like, oh, this is me, like how me, the way that I came after Jessel, like, but I don't care. And you guys and all the DMs you sending me are so funny. So it seems like she does care. And those
Let me
replies were just wild. So tell me what you think.
as a producer who has worked with cast members who care and quote don't care, she fucking absolutely fucking cares.
Oh yeah.
I it is the biggest it's the biggest offender. Like for instance, ugh, he's gonna come after me. I hope not. Austin Kroll is the biggest offender of this. He doesn't want to care and he cares. He's like, can I should I respond? I'm like, do not respond. Do not play into it. But I should fight for myself. No, you should not fight for yourself because you're never going to win. They're going to make fun of you. This is the same. It's like you absolutely care and it's okay to care. It's okay to feel that way, but she doesn't want to admit that either.
Right. And she's bringing even more attention to it.
That's
And
nonsensical.
right. And I mean, it really seems like, you know, I'm not one who's like going to believe every word on the street rumor that's out there. However, there's a lot of kind of, I don't know. It's kind of circumstantial evidence, I guess, but there's a lot like people dug into like her old like video blogs where
Mm.
she contradicts like the timeline of when she got married. Her marriage certificate says a different date than what she told people on Bravo. So there's a lot of weird shit happening. And then she's acting like she doesn't care, yet she's responding to comments. So like you said, she obviously does care. I I don't think she's going to be back next season. What do you think?
See, I think they're going to bring them all back.
Even Sai,
And,
Sai's the only one I feel like they're not going to bring back.
well, because I don't know if Jenna's going to come back. I think it'll be dependent. How about that? If Jenna decides to come back, then yes, I think that there it is a likelihood that they will relieve Sai of her duties. If she doesn't, I can see a world where they bring her back. I just think she needs to be kind of like a friend of,
Hmm.
and I think we lean more into Uba, and then
Hmm.
maybe add one new housewife. I think for me, I don't necessarily give a shit whether or not she married her husband when she did and didn't. For me, it's more of I focus more on like the authenticity they bring to the show, and there are things and aspects to her that I think that she's not necessarily telling the truth on. Um, like necessarily like how she got here, and that's okay. But we need to see more of that. She doesn't really add much to me to the show,
I
um,
totally agree.
outside of like the drama or like the pettiness. But at that point, it's not adding texture to the show. It's actually taking away from the show, and it just feels kind of dark.
Yeah, I think that Sai, I totally agree. I don't think she's going to get kicked off the show because of this possible, like, you know, stole someone's husband, whatever. I think she's going to get kicked off because she's not good at it. Like, she's just not good at reality TV. She doesn't share anything authentic, in my opinion, besides maybe telling us about like her mom. But besides that, like, she's not fun to watch. She's a villain, but she's bad at being a villain.
Yeah,
Much
she's
like,
not fun.
no, she's not. And she's not likable. You know, if she was a good villain and interesting and like, and like, I feel like she just has this contrived personality of like, I'm always hungry. I need my own toilet paper. It's like she's using props and these little like fake things to try and, connect with the audience. And it's really just not working.
The food
Um,
thing feels interesting to me, and I think that it's so consistent throughout the season that I'm led to believe there's more to it than it being a joke.
yeah, I think if anything, it's like the opposite of her eating a lot. I think like, all these people who don't eat and talk about food nonstop, that,
Correct.
and I'm not trying to shame anyone, but that's often indicative of eating disorder or disordered eating behavior. But
Correct.
anyways, I'm not here to diagnose though, but
No, no, no. That's how I feel too. But I do think that there's something more to just, peel back that layer a little bit.
yeah, and it could be partly because Erin also sucks at hosting parties and being a hostess and serving people enough food. Because I don't think Erin really eats a lot, to be honest.
No.
I think Erin's
And,
probably on like some really strict diet.
and also some housewives, because I've worked on a housewives type of a show called Texacanas, they don't like eating on camera. It's just like a thing. Like a lot of women don't, don't like eating on camera. It messes up their makeup. It's a whole thing. So sometimes I think it's a little bit of both. And
Okay.
they get and because they're new. So a lot of this is tied to them being brand fucking new, that
Hmm.
a lot of anxiousness, they just tend not to eat. Um, so it has sometimes that has to do more with that.
Yeah. And okay, so we saw the trailer for the reunion, which was kind of boring, unfortunately. I'm still excited about it, but because I don't know, I have this weird like obsession with this show now. But what did you think about the trailer? I just felt like nothing happened.
Well, okay. So I executive producer and Betsy did an episode without me the other day. And when they'd asked me if I'd seen the RHONY trailer, I was like, wait, that's out already? I know I had not. And so they both asked me, they were like, can you watch it? And then we want your honest opinion. We don't want to tell you anything about it. And I said, okay. So I put it on and then and it finished and I was like, this is, there's no story. There's nothing to this reunion. They're gonna to me, it was a montage of sound bites, which
Hmm.
is nothing to me. It was just like, I said this, I said this, I said this, but we can't tell why they're saying it, the context, where it's coming from, what argument or discourse they're having in the moment, which is typically we can usually ascertain from other with other trailers. Like we'll know like if Tamara says something like, oh, obviously this is a Jen segment, or obviously this is a Heather segment, or vice versa. This was just sound ups. It was just sound ups of things that they said and sound bites, and that was it. I'm scared that there's absolutely fucking nothing at this reunion.
Well, yeah, I mean, just exactly what you said. And the fact that those were the best sound bites that they could pull is kind of frightening. I like, okay, I guess it was kind of interesting, like Uba saying that Jenna plays victim on camera, but in real life, she's like powerhouse. That was probably the most interesting
Mm.
thing that came out about that. But even that, like, I'm like,
Did it feel disjointed? It felt like, where's this coming from?
right. And it also felt like we kind of know that a little bit. Like
Mm.
we know it's the group's fault. The only reason Jenna has come off victimy is because the group keeps, and by the group I mean like Bryn and Aaron and Sai, keep forcing everyone to share their traumas. And then if they don't share it, they berate them about how they're not being real enough. And then
Exactly.
and then when they cry, it's not enough, and then they have to cry more. And like they're the ones who kept pushing Jenna into it, and all of them.
Well, I think they created this because she
They
was already
did.
into the show. They put her on the pedestal.
Yeah.
And then therefore they're like, well, if we know this is how I think it happened. Like if we know this much about Jenna because she's famous, then what do we find out about her on the show that we don't already know? And therefore we see the pushing of the trauma bonding and
Hmm.
the need to be vulnerable. And somehow they equate vulnerability to crying. And it was just a lot.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't think we learned anything else in that moment with Uba saying that. I just don't think that this reunion is going to be great. Um,
Well, I'm excited to hate watch it.
yes, by the
Um,
way, same.
I love Jessel, so I'm excited to support
I
Jessel
know. Same. Very excited.
because she's the only one who comes off authentic. And I think the reason she comes off authentic is because I don't think she has like she just doesn't have the personality where she's good at trying to manipulate things. Like she can't do it. Like she just can't
Mhm.
do it, which is what makes her so watchable. Like I think even if she tried to like put on her persona, which I do think she tried to, but it just never works. Like she
It
just
doesn't work.
it doesn't work
No.
for her. She can't do it, which is why she got caught up in that whole like Tribeca thing and she just can't do it.
Yeah. And then I think she just leaned into who she is, which is why it shifted for all of us. And we're like,
Exactly.
got it. This is just stressful. And we like her. And we were sick of seeing everybody else like just come after her for like the weirdest things.
So what did you think about the Beverly Hills trailer while we're talking about all these trailers? Because we saw Kyle and Mauricio kind of getting into it. And apparently, like I was reading the little paragraph descriptions, Dorit got robbed again.
Okay.
So what do
Well,
you think?
okay. I want to start with the Dorit robbery first.
Yes.
I love Dorit. She's very much like a Jessel to me.
Oh,
I
she's
love
so they are the same.
they are the same. It's like the things that they say, and you're just like, what? Whatever. I love you. What the fuck is going on with this? What is this? The third burglary?
Hmm.
I'm having a hard time aligning with this. And I don't want to be that person that says like this feels something's not right. But something didn't feel right about the last year, the burglary. And I didn't know this happened again. Their house got flooded last year, so another insurance thing. There
Hmm.
just seems to be a lot. And I kind of want Dorit not to be with PK anymore. If I'm being completely honest, I want her to separate herself from him. I love them both. There's something feels a little dirty behind the scenes, and I just feel like I want Dorit to separate herself from that. We're gonna see her turn into an Erica Jane, and I really don't want that.
Oh, wow.
Do you? I mean, no,
Yeah,
am
I agree
I okay?
actually.
It's like,
No,
am
I
I?
just it's a good kind of it's like Erica Jane on a smaller scale.
Yes, 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 yes.
Now, I think my issue is that I think that she's okay. I think she's for real traumatized and that the whole break-in thing happened to her and she believed it was all real
Uh-huh.
and that it was a random break-in. But I think it was a targeted thing and that PK was maybe supposed to be there or whatever. And that's why I think he's not as like shaken by it. And and I think that whatever everything else that's happened, flood, additional break-ins, I think it's all gambling debts and for
Mm-hmm.
insurance money to pay off gambling debts because he's from what I've heard, he's like got a serious gambling problem.
Yeah.
He owes people money and like when you owe people that amount of money, yeah, they're going to come and get it and you know. So I just feel like I agree with you like as much as like I kind of like them, I want them to separate because like he's putting her in danger
I think so.
and it's not right. And just the comment that he made in the preview, like about her trauma being like kind of annoying him. Did you see that?
Um, Fuck off. Yes, I did. I could not believe he said that. Also, I found it really interesting that he didn't tell her that he got pulled over in Malibu. And here's the
Yep.
thing. If you get pulled over in Malibu, it's no fucking joke. The only reason why he didn't go to jail is because he's PK.
Yeah.
I am very familiar with the area. You get away with fucking everything there. It's the same thing with Bella Hadid. When
Mm-hmm.
she got pulled over for drinking, it was very like, no big deal. They figured it out. I mean, it's the tale as old as time. I mean, wealth really can kind of get you anywhere, or the perceived idea of wealth can get
Mm-hmm.
you. I thought it was really fucked up that he didn't tell her, and I don't know why. So that leads me to believe that if he can lie to her about something as simple as a DUI that he didn't actually get in trouble for, he can lie to her about so many other fucking things. Just like the first burglary that just so coincidentally happened after Kyle. Like, really? That
Mm-hmm.
happened? Wow. In this small friend group, this microcosm, two friends got burglarized. Is it bling ring again, or is there something going on?
Yeah, I think that a lot of this is his fault. I do think Dorit knows about some, like I
Yeah.
think she's involved in some of the scamminess because I do think as a couple they're kind of sketchy, but I don't think that she maybe knows like the extent to which he's in
Mm-hmm.
and she's suffering some of the consequences. So I'm actually like as much as Dorit like wasn't in the trailer that much, like she didn't have a huge role in the trailer, I'm kind of interested, especially because of Erica at BravoCon last year saying that she thought the next divorced couple was going to be PK and Dorit.
I wasn't surprised though.
No, I wasn't either. And she's since walked it back and apologized, but there's a reason she chose them.
Yeah, there
Like,
is.
yeah, there's a reason. Like, even though actually technically Kyle and Mauricio ended up to be being the next one,
I
but
know.
Still. So what did you think of the stuff about Kyle and Mauricio in the preview?
Well, it's interesting because I think with Scandival happening, everyone just kind of stopped either sleuthing or really like focused on like what was going on with Beverly Hills because it was filming at the same time.
Right.
And I I would say this probably like December of 2023 or maybe January. I thought something was odd with Morgan Wade then, maybe because I'm a lesbian myself. So when I saw the picture of all of them, I didn't know who she was. I didn't know who Kyle was with because
Hmm.
she takes like a vacation every time right before she goes into a new season. That's her thing. So I just assumed she was just on vacation right before Beverly Hills started. I did see Morgan and I'm like, I never want to judge a book by its cover. I never want to say that like, oh, somebody looks gay, but like it was energy, lesbian energy, but I
Yeah.
didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, maybe she's like a friend of theirs. It is odd that she's much younger, but I was like, I don't know, don't care. Well, then like fast forward 6 months and this is the thing. And I'm like, got it. I think, one of our listeners asked us whether or not we thought we were gonna they if whether or not we thought the show was gonna cover Morgan and that relationship or whatever it is, because Kyle's notorious for lying or not lying,
Yep.
but not showing it all. And my opinion on that was not, I think Betsy was like, yeah, fucking right. And I was like, they're going to cover it on the show. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my
Yeah.
gut. We just don't know that because we're so consumed with Scandival. We're not digging deep, but I guarantee it. So then when we see the trailer, I'm like, we absolutely are covering it because the women they get a sneaky suspicion that something else is going on. Now, since the day I stepped foot in LA, I've always heard rumblings that, Mo has like his own thing and like Kyle maybe knows and it's like not a big deal. It's a very Hollywood thing to do and a lot of people in Hollywood do it.
Hmm.
I've worked with Mo. He's so fucking great. He's so fucking nice. Now that doesn't mean he can't be a cheater and that doesn't mean Kyle can't be a cheater, but I just always saw them very connected with or without the stuff that people say about them behind closed doors. I think Kyle got tired. I think Mauricio took it one too many steps. And I think, when it's been in tabloids or there's been rumblings throughout the course of your marriage, especially being on Beverly Hills, you just gonna get tired of it. For me personally, I think it's one of those things where she was like, I I did not want this out there. Like, I don't want people talking about this, but now this has happened one too many times, and
Right.
I'm kind of sick of that. So she kind of separated herself, and then lo and behold, she's driving home in her Jeep on the way from doing her Hallmark movie. Here's this song, and I think she just, yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's something else on there. As much as I was trying not to believe that, and I think Mo was feeling the repercussions of like, you know, I I fucked around and I found out. Kyle
Yeah.
told me so many times, "Don't let this shit get out there," and I did, and now I've lost my family in that
Yeah.
way.
I could totally agree. I mean, and I've said this from the beginning, from when this stuff hit social media, like, I think Kyle put up with this for a long time, as long as it didn't embarrass her, as long
Exactly.
as it wasn't out in the pub, because that's what she cares about the most. But then I think,
Yeah.
like, after a while, you just, like you said, you get to the point where you're like, you know what? I don't fucking care either, because I'm so sick of it. And then, yeah,
Mhm.
she probably emotionally separated herself, met this other person, started to have those like excited feelings that maybe she hadn't felt in a really long time. And it's like new and exciting and all that kind of stuff. And was just like, I'm done with this. I
Yep.
could totally see her kind of being like, you know, out of sight, out of mind with the cheating. But
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, it gets to be a few too many times and that's
She's
it.
one of
And yeah, right. And it's like, it's really kind of sad because they do have like a beautiful family. I feel bad for their daughters. Like that scene they showed for like 0.2 seconds of the daughters all crying. That was rough. I will
Mhm.
say that because I always feel bad for, the kids, even if they are grown. It's just hard, like to see your parents going through that, right?
They call it like gray divorce
Yeah.
and it sometimes can be so much harder than when you're
Yeah.
younger. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't think at that point, you're like, my parents are like going on seniors. You don't expect a divorce at that
Exactly.
point. Yeah, I agree. So I was surprised by how much of it they even talked about in the trailer. I'm very pleased because I was worried they weren't going to talk about anything.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Guys
oh,
that Kyle
okay.
I don't know who she's talking to in the trailer, but she's like, it's none of your business. And her eyes get so big. And I was like, oh, that's how I know.
Yeah.
That's how I know there's something going on.
Yep.
Here's the thing with Kyle, especially in her family, we all know the stories about Big Kathy. If anybody's
Oh,
read House,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, I'm doing a podcast series on it right now.
It's okay. Are you loving it?
I finished it and it is wild.
It's wild. It's so wild. But Kyle was always taught to be perfect image. You hide everything and you
Yep.
just figure it out on your own. You figure it out at home in private, not out in public. But I think that she still carries a lot of that. The same
Mm-hmm.
thing with Kim, never wanting to show that Kim was an addict. I think she tried for so long to try to kind of hide that and
Oh,
show
yes.
that image. And it's what destroyed their, well, it's not really what destroyed, Big Kathy destroyed their sisterhood, but it is what causes the contention.
Totally. So what about let's go. What else do we have on our agenda? There's a lot we could say about Beverly Hills. Oh yeah, one last thing. Do you think Mauricio does have a new girlfriend?
I don't. I think
Okay, because
I
there
think
was that Dancing with the Stars picture of him with that girl and his parents at dinner.
so. It turns out that that's Eduardo's girlfriend.
Okay.
That's what they say. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think it's his new girlfriend. I don't know. I feel like I don't think he would come out with a new girlfriend right away. But who
Yeah, I
knows?
mean, somebody did say that they think his dad is covering for him and that it is actually his new girlfriend.
Oh,
So, God, who knows with these people? But like, I could understand why Mauricio wouldn't be ready to share the new girlfriend with the world, even though Kyle
yeah.
is out gallivanting with Morgan. So, I don't know. I guess we will see.
She didn't
Um,
seem type, but that's just me.
sorry.
She didn't seem like she was his type.
Okay.
That's why I assumed. I mean, I don't know. It could
Yeah,
be.
it could be. But you
Yeah.
never know. Maybe he wants like she's quite different from Kyle, so maybe that's what
Yeah.
he's looking for. I don't know.
True. Also very true.
But one thing that I did want to talk about, because this was pretty. Do you watch Real Housewives of New Jersey?
I do.
Okay. So, did you see this whole thing with Joe Gorga and the law firm?
Yes, he was pointing up to the billboard and he was like, "See, guys."
Yes. Okay, so
I
it's
don't.
hilarious,
Yeah. I mean,
but
yes.
sketchy.
Yeah, I feel like didn't Craig Conover did the same thing. But Craig's at least a lawyer. There's a difference. Yeah, so Craig is like the name of a law firm, but Craig is a lawyer, even though he's
Right.
not necessarily working those cases. With Joe Gorga, on the other hand, he's the name and the face of a law firm, but in little tiny letters, he's like not a lawyer.
Right.
Why?
Okay, so the Bravo docket
Okay.
I'm just going to read you what they wrote because they did a great little breakdown. So, if you didn't go to law school and pass the bar exam, can you be a partner in a law firm? Like most states, the New Jersey Bar Association opposes non-lawyer ownership of law firms. But Joe Gorga is a partner in a firm in Arizona, one of only two states that allow non-attorney law firm partners. There are 7 partners in this Arizona firm, and it looks like only one of them is a practicing lawyer. 3 of them are reality show cast members, a former NFL player, and 2 brothers who have law degrees but are listed as non-attorney partner on the firm website. And then they have pictures. And then the American Bar Association has a little blurb about why this practice model is concerning. They say these and other restrictions in Rule 5.4 were considered essential for keeping lawyers independent in their legal advice and preventing the possibility of non-lawyer owners who might prioritize profits over
Hmm.
duties to clients.
Yeah,
So
this feels like a
yeah,
laundering scheme to me.
yeah. So thank you, Bravo Docket. Are
I
we
didn't know the
surprised
other
about
part.
this?
No, not at all. Why is he always trying to get in a get rich quick scheme?
Oh, 100. That's
I
his
just
thing.
like, I know. And it's like there's the stories about the renovations of homes he does, the project management. I'm like, what? This is the type of shit though that we never talk about on Jersey, and it makes me mad.
Me
Because it's like
too. We never talk about his shady shit and Melissa's shady stuff.
never, never. And it's like as much as I think that Teresa was insufferable last season, and there's a lot of times where I feel like she doesn't take accountability. I feel though is if we're gonna dissect and peel back all the layers of Teresa Giudice and show everything from prison to halfway house to home, then we need to be doing the same with Joe Gorga. And I feel like oftentimes we kind of skirt around the accountability and all of that on that show.
Yeah, well, and I think the big thing is that Teresa's just, she's kind of like how Dorit and Jessel are. Like she almost like just can't
Mhm.
help just being who she is, because I don't even think she's like smart enough to be manipulative. So, and that's kind of why she got caught, because she's just so like
Yes.
doing it all on camera, like paying with cash. But the reason that stuff keeps coming out about Teresa is because, like I said, she's not necessarily like savvy enough to cover it. But Joe and Melissa are street smart, they're
Mhm.
savvy, and I kind of like, I see them as sort of con artists. And
Yeah,
they're
a little
very
bit.
good at deflecting, they're very good at spinning stories. And I don't even think Joe really works. Like, this is just my opinion, everyone.
Me too.
I don't even think Joe really does a construction business. I think it's all for show. He might do like a random project here and there, but the majority of that family's income is the show and like sponsored stuff on social media. That's why I
Yeah,
think they will be in big trouble if they lose their contract.
I don't know what they'll do.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do
I
either.
mean, Melissa probably makes like $900,000 on that show, and Joe definitely gets paid, even though he's the husband. He gets paid for something, either a day rate. I'm not clear, but he definitely gets paid. There's no way he doesn't. And I know that for certain, just based on other people who've worked on the show. I don't know what they'll do, but nothing ever seems solid. Like, I know that with Teresa, sometimes it feels like some of the things that she gets involved in seem like the same, where she's just trying to like get her head above water and get money and all that, but it still feels legitimized. Whereas every time I hear something about Joe, I'm just like, but if we peel back the curtain a little bit, like really what's behind there?
Mhm.
Because I don't know what he does. We never see either of them really work. And I'm sorry, Envy is not the breadwinner of
No.
that family. Like, let's call it.
No.
Her clothes are expensive, but that's not clothing in restaurants. Like every time somebody opens one of those on a show, it always gives the appearance that there's an income or you're going to be making a lot of money. But in industries, they're the least profitable.
Right. And Teresa, like, as much as, yeah, sometimes it feels like she's like doing her head above water. I loved how you said that, but
Yeah.
I know where her money comes from, like the show, her like partnerships with Shein, her podcast, her books. Her books are still sell and whatever. Her now she has a cooking channel. Like it's transparent at least. So
Yes.
yeah, like
Yes.
it
Yes. Yes.
wasn't before when which is part of the reason she got arrested. But now it's transparent. So okay. So on that note, since we're getting to the end, I just wanted to, this is like more of a quick kind of news topic, but I still wanted to see
Yeah.
what you thought about it, which is Real Housewives of Miami trailer came out. And people have been speculating that Lenny and his mistress have broken up because they have not been posting on social media. So, what do you think of the trailer? And what do you think about Lenny and his mistress?
Well, I think the trailer's phenomenal. It's probably
It
one of the
was
best reboots. It's so good.
10
It's
out of 10.
so 10 out of 10. One of the best reboots Bravo's ever had. I mean, at the time, really one of the only ones. And it looks just as good. I'm kind of sad that it's moving from Peacock to Bravo, if I'm being honest. But I
Do you
get why
think
it
that'll
is
be
because
do you think that'll be a big change? Like as a producer, like is that going to make a huge difference in the way that the show
no,
is?
I don't think so at all. It's gonna look the same, it's gonna feel the same. We're just gonna have commercial breaks.
Okay.
Because the way that they edit it for Peacock, they edited the show with the intention to air it on Bravo, which is why we have those little you'll see those little commercial breaks on Peacock. What do I think about Lenny? I just think he's garbage. Am I surprised if his girlfriend broke up with him? No, because this is like him. This is his MO, and I don't think that Lenny's fun to be with. And I think there's not enough money that talks enough to be with Lenny. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. I don't. What do I? They're broken up, probably, or they're going through something. I
Oh,
just,
okay.
I don't know. I just don't think he's not fun to be with.
Yeah, I
It
totally
doesn't
agree.
matter the first seasons of Miami from 10 years ago, he was an asshole.
Yep.
None of that is shifted. He's still the same. And I think that Lisa, ugh, God bless her, I think that she put up with a lot. And I think that when you're married
Hmm.
to somebody with that kind of, it's easier to put up with that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I just don't think the juice.
in one way I would be surprised because I would think she would want to like lock it in and like have at least one kid so that she could like, kind of be set up for life.
Mhm.
But then in another way, I don't know, nothing would surprise me these days. However, like, I don't know if the lack of social media posts is enough proof. I'm going to need more to go on, I think. However, if they did
Yeah.
break up, that would be such a good like karma moment because now Lisa has her like hot like tech guy that she's dating.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, so like Lisa's like got her own guy and I would love it if Lenny ended up like sad and alone, but we can only hope.
I know. So, like, based on what you're saying, just on social media alone, it's just not. I get why people go to that so often to kind of fill in the blanks. But again, having worked on the shows and then seeing the social media, it just doesn't always tell you the complete truth. It's just facts.
Mm.
I've people who don't post anything and people think that they're not together. Like, for instance, no one thinks that Olivia and Austin actually dated. They really did. I know it's a weird thing to think, but they did. And it's the same thing with this. Like, I don't
Oh.
think social media is a big clue as to maybe them not being together, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're not.
You know what? I think you're right, and I think one thing that has happened recently is that the whole Kyle Mauricio thing, the writing was on the wall via social media, and no one noticed it because of Scandival. So I think now
Mhm.
everyone is like over analyzing everything on social media
Yeah,
because they're like,
they
we
are.
missed the Kyle and Mauricio thing, so we can't miss another clue, you know?
Like, I wanna have an entire podcast episode just about how social media affects, like, what we think of on shows and stuff just because
You should.
it's not a telltale sign. It's just not. I've known people who lie on social media and everyone thinks they're together and they're actually not. I've seen both sides of it. Social media is a great tool, guys.
Yeah.
Great tool.
Well, this was so fun. So thank you
I
so
know.
much for joining. I just want to say to the audience, I know our audio might be a little bit lagged, but I think we still were fine. And we had
Yeah,
and thank you so much because you brought such a different insight, like from the producer point of view. And I just love that. And it was so
of course,
fun to
anytime.
discuss it. You're my first guest on the Bravo Weekly news episodes. I usually just do them
Oh,
alone.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
cool.
I wanna have people on more often because it's really fun to talk about the news with people, so thank you so much, but can
Yeah.
you tell the audience, like, plug City, tell them where to find you, all that kind of stuff so that they can follow you and listen to your podcast?
Guys, we're on all platforms. We're called Reality Bites. You'll see our thumbnail. It's like a big TV and it says Reality Bites. And then you can find us on social media at Reality Bites Podcast.
Love
Pretty
it,
much it.
love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, and you are now in the know for everything Bravo. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with a friend or 100 friends, whatever you want. You can follow me on Instagram at The Bravo Papers, or for my Twitter roundups, follow at Bravo and Botox. If you'd like to support me, please go to buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox for some much needed caffeine support. And until next time, keep overanalyzing Bravo.